What we're going to paint is this lad here. So it's what they call a calanque out by Marseille. They call them calanques in Marseille. But if you go into the Costa Brava, they call them cala. So I think it just must mean cove. So there are loads of them all the way along the coast. Very beautiful. Very often there's a boat in the cove with people swimming off it. So yes, very beautiful place to visit. It's obviously a warm day. You've got clear blue skies. We're standing in the shade of these maritime pines, and you can imagine the aroma of those pines. If you ever walked there, you must have done. And clear blue or kind of green water. It's green because the water's reflecting the sky, but we can also see yellow sand underneath. That's why it looks green. And the dark bits are where there's rocks with seaweed on them. I think that's why that happens. Okay, so let's have a look at the old thing about dark and light. See where's the darkest dark and where's the lightest light. It's always useful in the painting to establish the parameters. Okay, so I've made a black and white version of that. So the boat is the darkest thing. Even the shadows in the rocks, there's only a few sort of shadows that match the hull of that boat. Okay, so that's what that looks like. Okay, we've got our palette there. Okay, so I'll be mixing from there. I'm going to do a wash in permanent rose. Rather than the usual burnt sienna. So I'm going to do a bit of a drawing. So my drawing will be in burnt sienna and a bit of blue. Now, okay, so what have we got? We've got those the horizon, something like there, the boat's there, headland there, trees. Imagine if you were actually standing there, the heat of the middle of the Mediterranean day, rocks there. We've got the trunk of the tree coming up around here. And what I love about these maritime pines is how affected by the heat they are. They twist around. They're almost tortured in the way they twist themselves around into the branches. Seem to take detours. And then we've got this headland come down here. We've got a part that's quite near to us here, there, and then we've got the more distant headland. So bring that down a bit. That's coming down that way. So you've got a triangle here. Remember, when you're out in the open, especially in the blinding sunshine, you want to get things done quickly. So rocks there, that comes down to there like that, and then we've got this other headland here. Boat. Okay, that's the mast. Okay. Right, and then there's shadows there. And as usual, we're going to start out with the shadows. We can start out with darkest darks, okay. I think I might actually do that with the brush as well before I start on the knife, okay. So, in fact, that goes out there like that, but this comes down here. Oh, I love that, yeah. It kind of frames the painting all the way around. Okay, darks. This is definitely dark. brush. So you're making decisions as you go along. You're thinking through, how can I treat this, this part of the painting? How can I make it look as if we're standing in the shade and we're looking out into the bright sunshine? Okay, there. We've got some sky there. Branches there, that's dark. Don't want to make too much of that yet. Just around there, that's kind of dark there. There, like that. The hull of the boat is dark. Lovely reflection there. It's all dark here. Okay, and we've got some darks down here. That's not bad. Some darks down there, the dark trees. And this is the kind of frame or the skeleton on which we're going to hang the rest of the painting. That can be dark there. Okay. That. All right. Okay. Right. So, probably won't need so much of the solvent anymore. And I'll change to my brushes. Right. So just a little note about the knives. So if you do buy your knives, let's put it there. If you do buy your palette knives, make sure they're very, very flexible. You want them to be flexible. There are some that you could nearly put somebody's eye out with them, and they're cheap. Just get the good ones. This one doesn't even say what that one is. There's all different shapes. Look, there's another one there. Square. I might use that one today, actually. Look, there's that one, which is more like a kind of a butter knife shape. And we've got that type there. I find those very useful too, okay? But they're all flexible, very flexible. It's not worth getting the plastic ones or even the cheap metal ones. Okay. Right, where's my thing? Okay, back to the painting. Right, so I'm going to start out with the sea, I think. So let's grab some blue. It's quite a lot. You've noticed probably that I've put more paint out than usual here. So blue plus yellow plus white. And let's see what I get from that. And that for me is the darker part of the sea. I might put a bit more yellow into that. So let's put this in. So I'm using the flat of the blade and just pressing it down. I'm sort of squeezing the paint against the surface at the moment. Okay, this is the darker part of the sea. This kind of it's reflecting a shaded part of the land, I think. There. Okay, and then down here is the same. Might even put a little bit of red into that. Put in those darker areas. And now I'm using the edge of the blade, so it's slightly at an angle. I'm pushing the paint against the canvas. coming along there like that. Okay, come down there. We've got a little bit of darkness there. Now I'm going to make a lighter blue green. Okay. Just wipe my knife down, and so white, yellow, remember, because we're looking through the water at the sand, and a little bit of blue. It's quite a lot of white there. A bit more blue. So I mean, we're making a block just the same as we would normally do, except it's just using quite a lot of paint. And you necessarily have to simplify with this. You can't be getting into details. Scrape that against the along here too. And that can also come off the boat here. I quite like this this knife. It makes you paint without details. Boat. Add some blue to that dark. And really the hull is the same as the reflection. There. The sea beyond is a lot more just ultramarine with white. And this is very much the same. So I've got blocks of different blues for the sea. Just applying it, and it's a lovely feeling, because this is where a lot of artists talk about the butteriness of the paint. Right. So I've got some sort of blocks for the sea there. Now, some green, I think, for the trees. So let's grab some blue. Put it here, and yellow. Now I'm using ultramarine, so it's already slightly going towards red as a blue. But a bit of red into it would be no harm. And you want a fairly dark kind of mix, because some of these things are dark. So let's put those in there like that, and just get the general shapes. And here too. And if you are down in the country and you've got the mountains around you, this is a great way of painting, you know, those wide open expanses that you have down around where you are in Kerry, especially around Valencia anyway. And we've got some green coming down here. That was there, wasn't it? But as ever, you're trying to keep your blocks reasonably separate from the rest of the painting, you know, so you've got a green here, but we're going to go quite warm here, so you want to keep them, separate them out a little bit. Okay. Let's grab some dark, actually. Put in that around there, where I missed it, actually. Along out to the end of that headland there. Right. Now, some rocks. So white, yellow. We're going to make them. We're going to heat them up because we're telling a story here. We're not just recreating a photograph. So yellow, red, and white. We want a kind of an orangey colour. Oh, somebody's just come in. Hang on, let me just let them in. Where are we? Is that it? Are they in? Okay, hello Valerie. We're all muted at the moment, well, I suppose apart from me, but come in and take your ease. So, rocks here. And I've been using quite a lot of paint here. And don't overmix your paint either. There's no need to overmix your paint. Okay, and we've got these rocks up here. It's kind of like a cliff, really. We're just building up this mosaic. In here. Let's actually make them even redder. Amp up the heat of the sun. With strokes that are kind of random in shape. Don't sort of just do the same direction all the time. And we've got coming out. Okay, there. Now just beyond, faraway hills are green. We're just going to grab some of that sea green here, bring it over. And put that in the distance. Now we need some sky as well, don't we? So. Okay. So the sky is a lot lighter. So let's have a look at some white. Get some sky up here where all the blues are. And a bit of blue. And I think a touch of yellow. you can have fun with this. You could have a yellow sky if you wanted. It's whatever you think will improve the painting. So there. Put some sky in there because we've got some more foliage to put in around there. Okay. I'm just going to go back around about here. Put some more sea in. This part here seems to be reflecting the rocks. Okay, and here too. And the thing is about this canvas is that it's allowing some of the pink to show through, which I think is an interesting effect. Right, back to the rocks. That's there. And I think that the trees are going to be dark and warm. Those rocks there can be kind of reasonably dark. And because there's red and yellow into it, I put red, yellow and blue. I can get some shaded rock which is still warm here. The other thing about this kind of painting, it'll take a month of Sundays to set. Right here, start this tree now. I'm going to use actually burnt sienna and blue to begin with. Especially on the left-hand side of this these trees. Because underneath they're actually quite red, which is really nice, I think. Up there. Okay, grab some red, put it into there. Bit of yellow. So it's a deep crimson colour. Put that along there, along the edges of the trees, of this tree trunk, I should say. Put a bit more yellow into it. You get through a lot of paint. All the way down there. We've got some more darks here. Rocks jutting out into the sea. Let's make them a bit bluer. You're not mixing the paint. That's an important thing. You're just basically dragging the paint across the top of the the layer that's below. So don't do it too much. You only get a couple of chances at it. Okay. Okay, some more foliage. Blue and yellow with a bit of red. A bit more red. And that's in there. And even up here. This is all the canopy of pine needles. I think this is a great way to learn to relax in your paintings, because you cannot get into detail. Okay, there we go. You can come down here like that. Okay, and more blue. Maybe a purpley colour in here. And for the rocks, you can come out further. And there's more stuff there. It's a bit like pixels when you've seen those images that are made up of, you know, very, very just few pixels on the computer. It's that kind of thinking. Okay, so we've got some more. More greenery coming out into the sea. Coming across here like that. Okay, back to the sky. Plenty of paint. Load up. And press it down. Try to get the blade flat. There's that headland. Sculpting it, same way as usual. We don't need to be highly accurate. Okay. We're almost completely blocked in now, so I want a nice bright aqua green. Okay. me describe the sea a little bit more. Let those rocks show. Okay, and around here, variations in tone. And that can come across here too. Push the sea out to the edge of the rocks. So you can't get into any degree of accuracy. Let's make a more yellowy mix now, because that is actually reflecting all the warmth above it into the sea. There. And even here. Okay, that's all rocks there really, isn't it? There. That can come up there like that. Up to the headland. Right. Superstructure of the boat. It's just a warm kind of tan colour. So we're going to add some yellow and red together, because you really don't want to be getting down into accurate forms here. I'm just going to lay that on top of that there, and I'm just going to reflect it down there a little bit, because even though you can't really see the reflection like that in the actual boat itself, this is a painting, and sometimes you've got to do things which help the painting along, rather than just fixate on the accuracy. So there's that, come down there like that. Okay. Now, I need a bit more. I need a bit more warmth. I'm going to have to get some more yellow. Put it out there. Grab some yellow and some red. So make a nice warm. Okay, and let's put some of that into the rocks. The sun is beating down on this this terrain, and somehow you've got to show that. So you know your warm colours and your cool colours. The thing about the palette that I recommend is that it's almost all cool, apart from the burnt sienna. Okay, so they're all cold. So in order to make any colour warm, you have to put red and yellow into it, because the red is cold, so is the yellow. Okay, and until you mix them together, nothing warms up. Okay, so this is just a kind of a random load of random strokes. They're rocks. You don't need to describe them perfectly. You just need to sort of get across the fact that they are indeed rocks. Just putting in some strokes there. Let's have a look at the far rocks over here. That's going out to sea. Now, in order to make things look warm, one way of doing that is to put something cool next to it. So I'm going to make up a cold, kind of purpley colour. I already had some red and blue mixed up over here, so that's a nice cold colour. And I can put in some variations in those rocks. Just help them look warm. Even down here, they're roughly where I see them in the reference, but by no means am I being accurate here. In there, in the crevasses up on the side of that cliff, and here too. Okay, and even probably in here. So, I mean, there is some sort of mixing going on as you put something down. Some of the paint from underneath does come up into it, but don't worry too much about that. But just don't overwork the paint. Okay, so like that. Close up some of those gaps. Right, back to the foliage in the trees. So I need more dark green foliage. So blue and yellow, and a bit of red. So the same kind of things apply as to when you're painting with brushes. It's just that you're using more paint. I think I actually might go for more blue in it this time. Okay, and I want to get some spikiness. That's the thing about the med, is all the vegetation is kind of spiky. Kind of looks lovely until you walk up to it and hit your head on the branch. You find out how tough some of this stuff really is. Like when I was on the island of Skopelos, I went out painting one day and I walked straight into, I don't know what the tree was. I had my what's it called, the trilby thing on, one of these holiday white trilbies on, and the spikes went straight through it into my head. I ended up having to sort of flee to a cafe to wash my head underneath the tap. It was very painful. Yes, it's a tough life in the painting business. There, so we've got a load of more vegetation there. I need some more maybe up here to fill in those bits. Don't over describe. And along here, close up that part. That can go up there. In fact, that can go up there. And join that. Right. Anything else down here? Maybe even there. Now, let's go. It's the same as any alla prima painting. I'm bouncing around between the different parts of it. So I'm going to grab that, shape the boat there. But what I do, in fact, want to do is to put in an indication of the deck of that boat. Is it the deck? I don't know. Yeah, I suppose it is. You can see the deck of the boat. It's very bright. It's very warm. So I'm mixing white and the red and yellow. Let's see if I can sort of manage this. Although I'm just only after telling you not to be accurate, but this needs to go in. Not accurate. Maybe a light going across the top of that boat there. Grab a little bit of blue. Pull that across there. Make a dividing line between the boat and the sea, and then I can go back into my dark and push it around a bit until I feel that it's okay. We'll go back into that later and make good. So grabbing some more of that blue, My strokes are getting smaller, as you can see. The mosaic, what do they call them in Latin? Tesserae. The tesserae are getting smaller. But you don't want them to get too small, I suppose. Otherwise the painting might lose its character. There. Right, back into the tree. So I want to get some roaring red in there now. So can you see? I want to get a space on that board so that you can see. This is just pure red and yellow. Tiny bit of red, blue got into that, but no matter. So it's a dark red. There's a bit of blue got into it, so it's a dark but very intense red. Okay, and I want to put in some, oh wow, we need some more yellow. There really is a lot of paint in some of those strokes. I'm just leaving the paint on in dabs, just to sort of give the impression that it's bark. And you probably find that people are kind of dead impressed by knife paintings because there's so much paint on them. And texture is it's a wonderful thing. So that's all very warm, and I'm going to darken up that warmth a bit with the green that's next to it, and put in some of this activity here, that branch there. Get that spiny Mediterranean vegetation. Okay, where else we? Okay, so we've got that. Now, it's back into the vegetation. I need some more red now. Ooh. I want to add red into the green parts, into the vegetation. So make up some more very hot red. Start putting it in. It's for effect, really. It's just the way the vegetation feels rather than the way it actually looks. But there is a lot of red in natural greens anyway. The whole idea is to give off the feeling of this Mediterranean heat. Imagine what you'd be feeling if you were there now. Roasting they are, all apart from us, who are sitting here in our manky sheds, wondering where the sun's gone. There. Now, I'm going to put some more yellow because, remember, alla prima painting, we're bouncing around from one bit to the other. Need some more yellow down here. Paintings are very often about contrasts, contrast in tone, but also contrast in colour and contrast in temperature. All different parameters and what do you call it? The I don't know what you the various things that. That's not very descriptive, is it? What I just said. Okay, I want to change that, but not make it too. As if I'm trying to get too much accuracy. Just some. Variance in the water. Gosh, this is going to be a long time drying. Back to that far off headland. Shape it a little bit more. You can come down a little bit more there. And I need some more darks along here. And it's not just a line, is it? These crevasses sort of move up into the rock behind them. More of the red for the vegetation. Variables was the word I was looking for earlier. I can't talk and paint at the same time very easily. There. And up around there. And now grab some yellow. More yellow, make it much more orangey. Now some blue. I want to get some blue. So I'm really just I'm starting to rely less on that reference now, as I want to make the painting look the way I want it to look. I'm putting some blue, which is a very cold, kind of mid to dark violet kind of colour, just to make everything else look hotter, just in the shadow areas where I think it could do some good. Across there. In the shadow areas, because the painting, this is a great way of actually departing from photographs, which you always need to do. So by all means paint from photographic references, but find ways of not having to rely on them too much. And now I'm going to get some pure red. Can you see that? You can probably see it here. Okay, so pure permanent rose, actually. Which is cold, remember? On its own, it's cold. So there's the hot red, and there's a cold red. So we're inviting people to read, or the viewer, to read the painting a certain way, and you're setting the agenda. And also the fact that the red is over here, for example, is on the other end of the colour wheel from the blue. It kind of makes it stand out. And people aren't reading it as a red anymore. They're kind of reading it as just as a dark. Something that isn't the sea. So it must be the what's on the land. So we'll put some more isn't the sea there. Where else can I have it? Maybe I could sort of delineate the rocks a little. Little rocks there like that. I picked up a little bit of blue there, didn't I? Yeah, okay. Right, can I do that mast? Let's have a look. Blue. It's kind of the last thing on the agenda, really. See if I can grab some. As usual, you know, you don't paint something, you sculpt it. So let's see what happens if I can grab some paint on the edge of this knife, and it kind of goes there, doesn't it? And now I just push the knife down. Will I get some of the paint to leave that knife? Ha! Oh, there it is. Slightly skew whiff, but the captain might have been drinking heavily. Let me see if I can do it that way. Ah, there we go. That's better. There. The other things, I don't know whether it's worth, can suggest them. There, like that. And now just going to push that up a little bit. Make it darker. And then it reflects into the sea. And I'm just going to grab some of the blue. And pull it across the reflection. A little bit of dark here. And maybe a little bit of light. I'm just sort of going around the painting, making good, really. A light warm white, yellow and red. Maybe I can put that out there just to lighten up. Headland there. And up there. God, there really is a lot of paint. Such fun. And here too. As if the light's coming in and just catching certain bits. through all those pine leaves. And as I paint, my voice gets lower and lower until I finally fall asleep. Okay. I shall do no more on that one. You can unmute yourselves. So you can see how thick the paint is. And you can still see some of the wash coming through. So for example there, just there. And because it's a pink wash, it's sort of, there, you can see more of it there.